The Horn of Africa and Red Sea face growing instability from geopolitical rivalries, economic pressures, and security threats. Global conflicts and local power struggles escalate tensions as Gulf states and major powers increase their involvement. The Red Sea, critical for trade, faces piracy and attacks, endangering Ethiopia's economy. IGAD struggles amid civil wars and terrorism. Ethiopia's sea access demand draws global attention. Hello and welcome. I'm Gamachisa Mandida, your host, joined by Professor Brooke Hailu, who is a political science and international relations professor. He has been teaching at Addis Ababa University and various American universities as well. He's also a senior researcher in the field, producing a variety of scientific works. Thank you very much again, and stay with us. Professor Brooke, welcome to our program, and thank you very much for joining us. Of course, these days we have three major global crises that are currently dominating international attention. We can mention the Russia-Ukraine war, the Israel-Hamas conflict in the Middle East, and the escalating competition among global powers in the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea region. So, given these tensions, countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other major powers have increased their military presence in the Horn and Red Sea, so potentially worsening the region's instability. So, would you see the key actors fueling these tensions, and what are their motivations?
First and foremost, thank you for having me. Yes, it's true. There are tensions in the Red Sea area, and one can also ask and comment on what motivations that they might have. For me, in the eyes of the Saudis, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, KSA, let's say the Gulf countries like UAE, United Arab Emirates, and Qatar mostly, and secondly the Omanis and Bahrainis and the like, there is now an increasing interest in our part of the world, that's the Red Sea area. There is no mystery about it. These countries, their priority areas is in the Gulf area as well as their domestic interests. But now, given their growing military, economic and political importance and muscle, I would say, they are going way and beyond the neighborhood. And believe it or not, the Red Sea is their neighborhood actually. Just like in the case of Ethiopia, if not now, in the coming 20, 30 years, the Gulf area, what goes on in the Gulf area as well concerns us. So I see it that way. Therefore, who are the actors? Saudi Arabia, oil-rich country, of course. UAE, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the two states among the seven as well, and in totality, the UAE. And Qatar, that's in the Qatari government as well. They are, I would consider, as the key countries who have put their eye, or say, scrutinize the Red Sea area. By Red Sea area, I mean they are concerned about what's going on north of the Bab el-Mandeb as well as south of the Bab el-Mandeb. By north of Bab el-Mandeb, specifically, I mean the Red Sea itself. On the eastern side, there is Yemen. What goes on in Yemen concerns them. I will come back to it. And then Saudi Arabia itself, and then way up in the north, we have Jordan and Israel as well. On the western side of the Red Sea coast as well, we have Djibouti, Eritrea, and the Sudan and Egypt as well. So this is the countries involved. So these countries, and then south of the Bab el-Mandeb, there is the, of course, on our way as an outlet to the, the Gulf of Aden. And then when you make a northwest direction, you move all the way up to the Strait of Hormuz. And that's their neighborhood as well. Saudi Arabia as well, say Dammam and east of Riyadh, while Jeddah is on the western side, on the Red Sea side. On the other side, Saudi Arabia concerns Persian Gulf, all the way up to Iran. So what's the interest of this oil-rich, our neighboring countries? They are concerned. Each have their own national interests. They follow with interest, non-stop, about what's going on in this part of the world. They are stakeholders, and they have an interest. They generally speaking, they want peace and stability in the area. Of course, they want to secure not only the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman, but they want to also secure the Indian subcontinent as well as all the way to the Red Sea, all the way to the Suez Canal, the Red Sea itself. Why? Because their lifeline, oil, that they export, millions of barrels are pumped out every day. Some even have gas, like Qatar. They export more liquefied gas as well as the black gold, that's oil. So all of them, their lifeline depends on this area. So what goes on concerns them.
Thank you, Professor. The Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, we know they serve as critical routes for global oil shipments.
True. Yeah.
We know the war in Yemen, for example, has affected, just this international trade, and especially the international route because of the fact that this war is taking place in that area. Shipments of oil from the superpowers such as the USA has been affected badly. What should Ethiopia and neighboring countries in the Horn do in order to halt these bad patterns, these effects in general?
Well, good question. You see, at the end of the day, all sovereign countries, what they want to do is say this oil exporting, APEC and OPEC member countries, the countries that Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Oman, Bahrain, and the like. All they want to do is just make money, and they want a safe passage to their exports as well as imports of their commodities and services. So they want a smooth, smooth and peaceful Red Sea. What we see is that, especially the last few years in Yemen, there is civil war in Yemen, and at the moment, Sa'na, that's the capital city, and all the way to close to the Saudi border, is controlled by the Yemeni government, led by the Houthis. The Gulf countries, and what Ethiopia wants and other countries want is what? A peaceful route, at least a stable area, where normal, import-export trades, goods and commodities will come and go. So that is more or less secured. But still, there is some room of instability in that area. And what Ethiopia is a landlocked area. I'll come back to it.
Yes.
But Ethiopia is also vulnerable. Why? Because we import and export 90% and above, if not 95%, using the ports of Djibouti.
Yes.
So if something happens to Djibouti, then Ethiopia is at risk. So it concerns us. And Ethiopia has, as a former diplomat, we have a seasoned, it's always reviewed the foreign policy and diplomacy strategy and agenda as well as document. And we want Ethiopia to grow. Ethiopia wants, our economy to grow. What goes on in the Red Sea concerns us. Why? Because we are right there, 60 kilometers away. We are very, very close to that area.
Let me take you to IGAD's role amid this regional instability that you've explained very well. IGAD is, of course, composed of 8 Horn of Africa nations.
True.
And it was established primarily, to promote peace and stability, development in the region. So, as the region's primary peacekeeping body, what concrete measures, should IGAD take to address, these challenges?
Okay, thank you. A great question as well. Well, primarily IGAD, when it was established, believe it or not, it was established to tackle one specific target and goal, that was drought and to propel economic development.
Yes.
That was expanded later on to include peace and security issues, and now it's a really regional, like ECOWAS in the west of Africa. IGAD plays a relevant similar kind of it has similar kind of goals and purposes, I want to say. Now, yes, these 8 countries that compose IGAD, some of them are not yet stable. Ethiopia, as a good neighbor, was and still is involved in peacekeeping missions to assist our brothers, the Somali brothers. That will bring us to the peacekeeping mission. ATMIS, and AMISOM, ATMIS, and USOM now. To this day, Ethiopia is paying heavily in loss of lives, blood and everything, in Somalia, playing a stabilizing role. So that is one thing that is done by and through IGAD. That's how I want to tie it this way. IGAD plays a role in peace and security in South Sudan, in Sudan. Of course, next to, besides IGAD is the African Union, let's not forget.
Yes.
Before it, the OAU, of course, let's not forget it, you know. So, but the critical role is also played by IGAD. Sea piracy, you know, maintaining peace and order in our part of the world. It plays a role in agriculture, in propelling economic and social development in our part of the world, fighting climate, change of climate in our part of the world, you know. By the way, in the coming few days, you know, we have the ACS2 meeting going to take place in Addis. That's the African Climate Summit conference, in which Ethiopia is hosting.
Yes.
The first one was hosted in Nairobi in 2023, and now Ethiopia is hosting the second one.
Yes.
That plays a role, and IGAD also, you know, is involved in that, as well as the AU. And also the African Union Peace and Security Council, PSC, is involved. So all this tells us is that, yes, there are still issues, but I would say to put out the fire, IGAD has played a role in the past, is playing a role now, and is expected a role in the future.
Ethiopia has been demanding sea access, especially, you know, in the last 7 years, ever since, you know, Prime Minister Abiy took office. And the country appears to be, you know, understanding what it means to be landlocked.
Yes.
And to have, you know, access to the sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we look at, you know, even at the Red Sea near Djibouti, we have these superpowers, you know, coming to that place and then having their military camps, claiming that, you know, they have interest, they have every right to be there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they want to refrain Ethiopia from, you know, demanding, you know, access to the sea, which I think is, you know, totally unacceptable. And the Ethiopian government has been insisting that Ethiopia, of course, needs, you know, access to the sea because we are 130 million and plus.
And growing.
Yeah, we are growing, and we cannot afford it, you know, to stay landlocked.
Very
And the recent conference in Turkmenistan, of course, addressed, you know, just this issue. So when it comes to Ethiopia's request, you know, do you think, you know, it's justified?
Yes.
And to what level can we say it is justified? And how do you interpret, you know, the increasing international engagement with this issue, as has been observed in Turkmenistan recently?
A great question. First and foremost, we need to establish is the fact that Ethiopia is landlocked in the last 34 years. Before that, we were we had our own marine forces. Going back to thousands of years, you know, medieval period. Before that, before Christ, you know, and after it, the Aksumite Empire, part of Ethiopia, and this and that. So Ethiopia is not a new member of the Red Sea.
Yes.
Our sailors are known not only in the Red Sea, all the way to Egypt, way down to Bab el-Mandeb, South Bab el-Mandeb, the Gulf of Aden, on Socotra, the Puntland area, the Bosaso area, and all these areas are not new to Ethiopia. Our sailors, our ships used to engage in commerce, trade, you know, the movement of goods and services and ships for centuries and centuries. So it's not a country that was always landlocked. So coming back, the history supports us. And the law of the international law of the seas, UNCLOS, supports us. It says no, Article 69, 21, 124, 125, 26, 27, they support landlocked countries. Landlocked countries have the right to have access to the sea. And that's what we are asking. By the way, it's not a demand, we are asking politely. There is a big difference between asking and demanding. Demanding means, I want my port. You thump your table. No, politely. Ethiopia's plea is getting a regional as well as an African response, as well as an international response, all the way to the United Nations. So this cannot be stopped, and the momentum is continuing. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Brook, for your excellent insights on the topics we've raised in our program. Viewers, thank you very much for watching, and today's special program ends right here, and next time we'll come up with new editions. Goodbye.